Welcome back, everyone. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned in a video that I had never done a video about sweep strokes, and that is long overdue. It's one of the first things I teach in a private lesson, and so I've got to change some clothes because it is a really cold fall day. It's in the high 40s. I'm going to change some clothes, put on a dry suit, get a boat in the water. Let's do a sweep stroke. Let's go. Okay, so sweep stroke is generally the first thing that I teach. Well, first and a half, maybe, that I teach students. So we're gonna go through it today. But Johnny, who is with me today, we have some wind, and that is not a good environment to teach a sweep stroke in. So wind is over here. So let's head over there to get out of the wind and find a nice spot to do a sweep stroke lesson. Sound good? Good, let's go. Oh look, you know how I'm gonna have to turn around by using the sweep stroke, ironically.
Funny how you did that.
If only I'd planned it. Okay, before we get pulled into these trees, let's pull back out over here and talk about sweep strokes. Oh, people are telling me I shouldn't do my sculling draw like this anymore because it endangers my shoulder, which it does, and I should do it like this. But I was taught the paddle should really be as vertical as possible, which you can't do if it's like this. So I don't know what to do. This is like just stroke practice, right? Okay, sweep stroke is generally like just about the first thing I teach on the water with new students because I think it's important to be able to turn your boat. And I teach it first as a static sweep stroke, and then I teach it as a dynamic sweep stroke. So static is we're not moving, we're just gonna turn the boat around. And then dynamic is we're moving and we're gonna use it subtly to affect the direction of the boat. So your sweep stroke can go one of four ways, right? You can do a forward sweep on both the left or right side of the boat, or a reverse sweep, which starts on the back of the boat, but it could be the left or the right. And it works really well to pair them with opposites. So if you start on the front right side of your boat, you then finish on the back left side of your boat. Does that make sense?
Sort of, because when you say finish, you finish start. You start.
Yeah.
Right,
That's a good point. I should rephrase that. If you start there, you continue it with this. Your next stroke is going to be the opposite, right? So if I want to turn my boat 180 degrees that way, I could actually start it either way, but I'm going to start on the front. Nope, other side, and. Hands are going to stay where they are, at least for now. I'm going to plant the blade as far forward and as close to the boat as I can, and then draw a big arc with the paddle. See, very little effort. Paddle comes all the way to the back of the boat. Then I'm going to continue it back here. Paddle is all the way at the back of the boat, and is going to come all the way to the front of the boat. And with those two strokes, I turn just about 90 degrees. And so obviously I could continue that, continue the arc all the way to the back of the boat. I'm not making big splashies, right? I'm not digging the paddle, anything like that. Very gentle, just turning the boat. I've lost track, Johnny. Are you counting? I've lost track of how many.
Yeah, this is your third time through. Each time you're getting a quarter of the way.
There you go, look at that. I'm glad one of us was paying attention. And I'm adding edge to this because I add edge to everything. You could do it flat. You should also continue this rotation with your core, which I didn't do a good job of just then, so we're gonna do one more. Okay, so that's more than 360. pairing stroke. So that's a static sweep stroke using both forward sweeps and reverse sweeps. Johnny, give it a shot. Beautiful. Johnny is doing a really nice job of starting and ending at the boat, which is the big mistake that people make, is that they shortchange themselves and don't do that full 180 degrees of sweeping. That's beautiful. That's 180 right there. Perfect.
But I had my paddle up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't want to disrupt you. You're doing such a great job. Somehow you ended up with your paddle upside down. Look, it works with your paddle either way. So that is absolutely perfect, Johnny. Sweep strokes 180 degrees, and that's like, I need to get over to where, or I need to go the other direction. I need to get over to where you are because you've got better snacks than me, that sort of thing. And that's a really nice job of it. But unfortunately, though, we don't get to see the mistakes that people made. So I'm going to do those now, right? And so frequently I talk about the sweep stroke as being, think of the 180 degrees from bow to stern as like half a pie, right? And that pie is going to get broken into three pieces: a front piece, a middle piece, a back piece. The turning is really occurring in the front piece of pie, the front wedge, and the back wedge. The middle wedge is really moving the boat either forwards or backwards. It's not really turning the boat. And so the mistake that people make is they cut off. They don't start all the way at the front of the boat, and they don't end all the way at the back of the boat. So they're doing more power in the middle, which is not really turning the boat. So for instance, if you start here, well, I did that well enough still that I'm turning, but if you start in the middle, if you cut off the ends, the boat will end up going forward instead of turning. I can't do it wrong.
It will take more effort.
It will take more effort, right? And so that's the big mistake that people make. And when I'm teaching this frequently, what I'll tell people is, particularly if they're struggling with it, is put your hand right in front of your chest. So it works really well if they're wearing a watch. I can say, look down at your watch. Don't take that hand off your chest, and that will force you to do a really big arc. You have to cheat it a little bit here. And then you can reverse it. Wrong way. Then you can reverse it up here. So your hand is pretty close to your chest the whole time. And that's a good way to help get that arc going. That's the other thing that people don't do right, is they want to do the paddle right in here. And that does not work nearly as well just because of leverage as bringing the paddle out here. And then to add to that, you could do an extended sweep stroke. If I'm in a really big hurry, slide the paddle all the way out and get really big leverage. Some instructors don't like that because it takes the paddle in what I call the neutral position out. It takes you out of that neutral position. So like if you needed to brace really quickly, your paddle's not in position. I worry less about that doing this stroke than I do with other things. So a number of options with the sweep in the static sense. Now let's paddle and think about it in the dynamic sense. Let's go this way towards the bridge. Okay, so the dynamic sweep stroke is really what I use the most, and I want to turn the nose of the boat just a little bit to the right or to the left. What a lot of people do is something that I highlighted in the 3 mistakes paddlers make. I'll put a link to that up there. But if I wanted to turn my nose a little bit towards Johnny, what a lot of people do is drag that paddle just a little bit. The problem with that is that I lose momentum. Now I'm going to hit Johnny, so I need to come back. And a better way to do that is with a sweep stroke, or really with just a third of the sweep stroke. And in that sense, I'm just going to use that final third piece of pie And so this is really integrating a sweep stroke with a forward stroke. So when I get to the end of my forward stroke, right at my hip, instead of lifting the paddle, I'm going to slide it out, add a little bit of a sweep, and keep going. And that'll look like this. So forward strokes. Oh, I went the wrong way though. I want to go to John. That wasn't integrated. That was really just a forward stroke and a sweep. So forward, forward, sweep, right to Johnny. And I can enhance that with an edge as well. And that's one of my favorites, is just a little bit of a sweep. Super easy. Johnny, do you use that tool at all? Let's see one. If you'd said no, I wouldn't have made you. Beautiful. He's doing them better than I am today. There's our win. There's a sweep to fight the wind with an edge. And so that's an integrated sweep or a dynamic sweep, as I was calling it. Either way works. And so that's the sweep stroke. Pretty simple. It is, in its essence, the static sweep stroke is really a beginner stroke. It should be one of the first strokes that you learn, but you can see how by adding an edge or integrating it with a forward sweep, you can take it to the next level and use it at an advanced level. It's a great stroke, and I use it all the time. Okay. If you enjoyed that, if that's working out for you, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe. My books are on Amazon. You can buy me a coffee on Coffee, links down below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the water.